Hello, everyone. So once again, I'm here in the another session of the webinar series that is based upon my book Pivot with Purpose. So just to share with all of you, this is last webinar of this series where we will conclude whatever we have discussed. We will have a recap as well. Also, we will look into some of the ideas as well. Like so, let's quickly start. So let me share my screen. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is session 12, and we'll discuss about strategies for every stage rather than one stage, for every stage, and we'll see the fluid nature of product life cycle. Product life cycle is not always the curve which we discussed, but in real life, there may be a different pattern. Some of the patterns we will also explore today. Yeah. So let's get ahead. Okay. So the agenda of today's session will be recapping the previous sessions. We'll see the fluid nature of the product life cycle, and we will see at different stages what are the characteristics and the strategy at the different stages. We'll discuss about the impact of AI during product life cycle, because right now AI is playing a pivotal role. We will see some real world examples, and after that we'll wrap up this series with some of the important points, right? So now we have covered ideation, inception. So ideation, introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Right now, we are looking towards the ever evolving landscape, the fluid nature of the product cycle, and also we are summarizing the entire product life cycle. So, which sum I'll do at the end of this session, right? So, as I mentioned, fluid nature of the product life cycle. In practical, the product life cycle is not a graph like this we are seeing, that introduction to growth to maturity and decline, right? So there are some of the examples. Also, the examples are not limited to this. There can be many, but majorly these are the things like a growth slump, maturity. We are getting a study or the rapid growth whenever product is introduced, and after that it falls and stabilizes. And for the longer duration, it is stabilized. No up, no down. Right? There is also possibility. Another is primary cycle, recycle. There can be multiple cycles. Sales grow rapidly at the start, downfall, recover, and down again. Okay, great. This is called cycle recycle. And scaloped is something where we are extending the life cycle of the product. Succession life cycle. One cycle when we reach towards the maturity stage, let's start another cycle for the same product, maybe by introducing in new market, or new segmentation, or in fact sometime there are macroeconomic or microeconomic situation wherever the product can thrive. Yeah. So again, product life cycle is not something like it will start and it will go in that fashion only. These are the different stages, but you can always divide the maturity stage like this one always. Great. Let's see the overview of different stages. So introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. We are not discussing ideation, because ideation we are not yet in market and we are just ideating. So we discuss multiple tools from brainstorming to the some design thinking tools as well. So characteristic of a introduction phase is low sales, high cost per customer. Since we are introducing, we are less number of customer. We have not achieved the economy of scale. That's why high cost per customer. Profit will be negative. We have to burn from our pocket. Customers are innovators, so whosoever are willing to innovate, trying your product, and competition is few. Maybe competitors are not aware, or if they are aware, they are trying to just looking towards your success story first, right? The marketing objective in this introduction phase is create product awareness and trial. So do not focus on the profit at this point of time. Create product awareness. People should be aware about the product and give the trial version to the product so that at least you are getting the real user data. Offer a basic product, charge cost plus basically pricing model. Distribution should be built selective distribution. Do not try to distribute in a big way. The introduction phase will help you to get the right feedback from the customer and correct those mistakes and launch the product in a full-fledged manner. Communication will be the focus will be as I mentioned above as well. Building product awareness and trial for the early adopters. While in the growth phase, rapidly rising sales. Now we have come up from the introduction phase, sales is rising, average cost per customer, right? So we are averaging the cost as well. Profit is rising. We have got early adopters. Competitors are growing in numbers. Now, since your hypo has been proven, your product is in the market. Now, customer will start looking into your product and the competition will grow. Market objective at this phase is to maximize market share, offer product extension services and warranty so that people will come and will utilize your product. Price to penetrate markets. You have to penetrate into new market at the growth phase. So think about the pricing of provide offer accordingly. Build intensive distribution. Now since you have introduction to growth, you have entire market to capture. Whatever segment you are working, try to distribute as much as possible. Build awareness and interest in mass market. So understand about who is the mass market, create awareness. Previously we were just creating the awareness, but right now we are doing into the mass market. Mass advertising is required. Figure out what can be the way to reach the target segments and think about beyond the segment as well. Maturity. It is the place where you can utilize the fruit, right? Peak sales, low cost per customer, right? So cost is very less compared to this time because now you have achieved the economy of scale and production is also at a scale. So low cost per customer, profit will be high, middle majority will start adopting your product, stable number beginning to decline, right? So this is the competitors like there will be a stable number because some product people may start thinking competition may be growing, but at this stage it must be stable. Okay, I may have 5, 10, 6 customer, sorry, competitor, and you may need to target those competitors at the given point of time. Maximize profit while defending market shares. So you have to save your protect your market share as well, but as on the other end, you have to maximize the profit as well. It should not happen to utilize the market share. You are burning all of your money. You are not getting the profit. This is the time. Growth and maturity. Maturity, you have to maximize the profit. Diversify brand and market model. Think about what are the market model. Think about new market segmentation. Diversify. Price to match best competitor. Here, competitor will play a big role. So it is not only you because introduction and growth phase, it's maybe you may be deciding the pricing, but in the maturity stage, you need to look towards your competitors. Build more intensive distribution. Last mile delivery should be there. Supply chain and stress brand differences. Why your brand is better than the competitor? If you have a lot of competitors, try to their users to switch their brand to your product. You have to do a lot of effort, a lot of strategy making for this. From the strategic aspect, I have already discussed during my previous webinars that what kind of strategy we should be utilizing, what kind of tools we should be utilizing at different stages. This is I am sharing because since I am wrapping this webinar today basically, so that you can have the clear understanding of the different stages. Decline, definitely the product and things are declining. Low cost per customer, you cannot charge the prime to the customer because competitor is already there. Your product is declining. Profit is also declining. Laggards, no last users may be adopting your product. Declining numbers of the competitor as well. There may be no market for that product, so even competitors may also switching to other products or reviving or looking towards the other segmentation. Reduce expenditure and make the brand. Whatever you have done, you have created a brand, make that brand another product, utilize that brand positioning. Phase out weak products, so figure out what are your weak product, phase out all those product and keep the strong product, or maybe doing the product line extension as well. We discussed last webinar in detail about that. Cut the price, low cost, go selective. Do not try to build everything and go with the all the products since the product is declining. Selective thing, what will work, what will not work. Reduce the minimal label to retain hardcore. Right? There must be some loyal customer to you. How to retain that? If you are really sunsetting your product, think about how we can switch the product, people from one product to another product rather than just closing the product. You have created a brand, you have done a very hard work, right? So create that relationship with the customer and make sure that if you are sunsetting, that should be in a nice way. Even if you are reviving the product, think about the customer feedback, customer problem, competitors offering, and accordingly you can work. So this is overview of different stages. In coming era, AI is impacting our day-to-day working. Although I'll have a separate session, not in this webinar series, but after a couple of weeks, I'll have a session regarding to the hands-on session about utilizing the AI tools to impact on the product life cycle, how it is impacting the product life cycle, or we will do some of the example that how to create some of these things, how to do trend analysis, market gap and predictions, right? Ideation phase, the tools AI is helping you in trend analysis, market gap predictions. You can utilize chat GPT, keyword tools are available in the market, right? Even if you are building a website, there are a lot of tools, supporting tools, what kind of keywords you should have based upon your market, audience, target segmentation. It is providing that support to you. Create a prototype with the help of Figma AI. Yesterday, I was in a conference and we were discussing about the one person shared that I have created a mock up, just sharing my requirement, and in 30 minutes, the mock up of my product was ready. Use Figma AI, which is a very wonderful tool to create this kind of thing to AI assisted prototype. Use technology as much as possible. It will ease out your task. For the development, machine learning assisted code, use GitHub Copilot. I have seen in one of the organization, I have seen they are claiming that they have improved 40% efficiency of the developer by utilizing the Copilot. This is need of our basically. We have to utilize. AI is no longer optional thing. AI is mandatory. It's a way of living, right? Predictive targeting, recommendation engine like Netflix and Amazons are providing the like a recommendation engine. How they are recommending to the product. Netflix, if you will see, 80% of their content is recommending content, and people are viewing that. 80% is a use count. Maturity stays customer retention through personalization and AI-driven pivot suggestions or exit strategies. We will see some of these things I'll share in a separate manner because this session is not especially for the AI. This series is about the product life cycle. So I'm just sharing that these tools can be pivotal and can be very helpful during the product life cycle. At the different stages, you can utilize different tool to get maximum benefit. Some use cases for generative AI, prompt driven product specs. If I want to define that what specification should my product be having, I can work on that. Remember, these tools are to help you, not to replace you. So make sure you have to validate the data, validate the things, whatever is provided by these tools. It should not be like a blindly you are just taking and putting that on the board. No, some due diligence will be required. Content generations for campaign based upon the user persona, based upon the media, medium, it can support you. Automated user search summarization, visual concept design, mid journey, Dale. Yeah. Conversation AI for onboarding whenever you want to onboard the customer, onboard the employee. Even these may be helpful, like you need to create some chatbot, etc., using NLP and other things to understand the customer need to reduce the support cost as well. Even you can simulate the personas. You can create the empathy map to understand the customer. Again, I'm saying it is good to utilize generative UI, but remember, generative AI should be used with the due diligence. Human touch should be there. It is not the case that everything will be done by UI, right? So these are general use cases for the generative AI. Let's discuss some of the case studies of this one, like Netflix, as I mentioned few slides back, right? So Netflix uses advanced machine learning algorithm to analyze viewer behavior, preferences, and viewing history. And 80% of watched content on Netflix comes from its recommendation engine. It is a huge count. 80% of content which Netflix users viewers are viewing is coming from the recommendation engine only. Very less content people are searching and figuring out that whether the content is available or not. Similarly, Amazon is using the deep learning models to forecast the future demand, optimize inventory placement, all these things. And by doing this, it allowed to the better product availability across different geographies. Air was also utilized this, like they have used a AI to co-design aircraft structure. Although human interaction was there, but co-design the aircraft structure using generative design algorithm. Right? And that lead to components that were lighter, stronger, and optimized for performance. And cutting weight by 45%. 45% is the use. Aircraft is too heavy to fly. Understand how much impact it will create if you reduce the weight of our aircraft by 45%. So again, AI, generative AI, machine learning, these are not the optional thing. These are need of the hour. And if you want to thrive in the market, you have to get going with these. Some strategic recommendation to product leaders, since this book or this webinar is closely tagged with the product leaders. So first of all, embrace agility. Do not ignore this. Do not try to go big bang. Try to get user feedback. Remember the product lifecycle concepts, the agile principles I discussed during our session one. Remember those, and I keep reiterating multiple things. Either it's a feedback loop or iterative loop. All these things in my sessions time to time. Use data and AI as navigational instrument. Right? Data is the key. It is not a good idea to go to gut feeling. Better to go with the data. Design for change. Change is pivotal. Change will be there. You cannot ignore that. In different stages, different medium. Nurture the culture of experimentation. If you are experimenting, you'll be able to innovate. Now, product design and product and the pace is too high. So remember, you need to do some experimentation, innovation. Otherwise, you will not be able to cope up with the competition. Yeah. So this slide is actual a summary of what we have covered during this webinar series. So in the first phase, we taken care of ideation and the inception, ideation and idea generation, how to generate the idea, how to do the market research, create hypothesis. After that, we discussed about the concept development and validation, where we discussed about the 5-day design sprint. We may have a good idea but that product is feasible. Suppose I want to buy a pen, and the pen is something I can spend X amount, but that is a 10x is my cost. Although demand is there, I'll be able to sell that product. Is this a feasible or viable? So here we discussed about the viability, feasibility aspects. After that, in this section, we discussed about the design thinking principles. We discussed about the user journey map, product journey canvas, which is a very important canvas. If you are on a product journey, make sure you are having a product journey canvas where it's a one snapshot, one page snapshot of your product. How are we doing? And everyone should be. If you are working on a product, in some of the wall, it should be there. After that, we discussed about the introduction and growth phase. We discussed about what are the characteristic of the growth phase. If we are in the growth phase, what kind of pricing policy should be there? Some KPI should be there. All these things we discussed. After that, we moved to maturity and diversification, where we discussed how to diversify the product and decline and revitalization. We have seen multiple examples, multiple case studies during this journey. Almost 25 to 30 case studies we have discussed during these sessions. Either it's a declining of the product, revitalization, even feasibility and planning. We discussed Airbnb, Lego, multiple case studies. And today we discussed about the fluid nature of the product cycle, AIML of the cutting is take in the product cycle. So this is a summary why I this although most of the because we discussed the decline phase last session only, but why I want to have this just to summarize, concise all the things whatever we have covered for all of you. Now, if you are new to this channel, new to this webinar series, I suggest that go to the from the first session until the 12th session. Just look into that, and you will get to know a lot of about the product life cycle. This knowledge is must for the product leader. This will tell you that how the product should evolve. Right? I hope this series may be helpful for you and it may provide a lot of insight for all of you so that you can go and discuss and create those things and replicate those things in you into your product life cycle. I'm planning to come up with some kind of framework. Like we discussed a lot of concept, although this is structured in the product life cycle way. But although I'm planning to come up with some sort of framework where you can utilize all these things step by step. I'm working on that model, and soon I'll come with that model so that it will be very easy to plug and play in the model form, and you can utilize for your product. If you have any question, feel free to mark the comment. I'm available on LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn. Message me on the LinkedIn. Send me a request. You can email me. I have shared my email ID on this slide. Subscribe and share this channel with all of your friends. If you find this series interesting, like that series, give me your feedback and I'll try to evolve that. There is a link for the book as well. So this is Amazon on .in link, but the book is available globally on the Amazon platform. So from any country, you can search and you need not to order it on the India website. If you are in NL, Netherlands.nl.com, US, and everywhere it is available. So locally, you can order and can receive this book. Kindle version ebook is also available. If you want to do that, it must be very handy for you and you can get that immediately. Perfect. So stay in touch, stay tuned. I'll come up with something new in the upcoming sessions. But as of now, there will be a pause for at least a week or 2 weeks basically while I'll be editing the new things. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Do subscribe and like and stay tuned. Thank you.